right, everyone. I'm Jay Massey, and I want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Cashflow Diary podcast. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, head over to cashflowdiary.com to sign up for our email list. Check out all of the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you again. Until next time.
It's amazing all the headlines that you have seen regarding Airbnb and short-term rentals in the sharing economy. And now I bet you are wondering, how on earth can you start an Airbnb business? What I want to do is I want to give you 3 things to consider when you are thinking about starting your first Airbnb business. Number 1. One of the most important things to understand is that you are in the hospitality business. Having a lot of experience in real estate is great, but this is a completely different business. And that's okay, because that means even if you've never done real estate, you still can do this right here. Here's what I mean. When someone comes to one of your locations, what they are thinking about is the experience, and what you need to be thinking about is the experience that they're going to have once they walk through the door. Now, obviously, depending on where you live, part of their experience is what's outside the door as well. That's great. That might have attracted them to the area, but what you want to know is what's going to attract them to your location. Therefore, you need to be thinking about the experience. For example, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, whom do you wish to serve? Once you understand whom you wish to serve, you'll be able and better equipped to go out there and create an experience specifically tailored for them. What do I mean by that? I mean specifically that a family with children might not want a place with any stairs or a high-rise balcony, simply because their children are small and that could become a risk factor. Things like that can have a significant impact on who chooses to stay at your location. The other side of that equation is maybe you don't wish to serve any families with any kids whatsoever. In that case, you probably don't mind picking places with stairs or using a high-rise piece of real estate that has a balcony, because that can become an attractor for that particular type of couple or individual who's traveling. Number 2, how much time do you actually have to commit to serving individuals? This is very, very important, because you must remember that not only is the work in obtaining the reservation, the work is also in servicing the person once they arrive. One of the things that you need to think about is, what are your customers' expectations? Here's what I mean. We've all heard of stores like Walmart, Target, as well as Nordstrom. Well, each one of those stores sells something similar. For example, shirts. You could get a shirt from Walmart, you could get a shirt from Target, and you can get a shirt from Nordstrom. But when you go to Walmart, Target, and Nordstrom, you have a different expectation. You have a different expectation in the quality of the actual product. You also have a different expectation in what happens if you have a return that you need to make as well. All being said, there are different levels of time required to meet your customer's expectation. So for example, let's pretend that you wanted to be the Nordstrom high-class person in your general area, that's the type of listing and that's the type of organization that you wanted to run. Now, that's not to say that you can't have high levels of service and customer service and do great 5-star things at the Walmart or Target level. I'm just trying to say you're using finer finishes. You're delivering a more boutique experience as opposed to something that might be necessarily mass produced. Here's my point. When you are going down the Nordstrom route, it may require more of your hands-on time. For example, one of the things that you could consider in a Nordstrom level style service is simply a concierge. Well, who's going to do that? Who's going to possibly pick up your guest at the airport? Who's going to make sure that they have a local phone number for them to contact to be able to get directions or find that restaurant reservation or make those extra arrangements that they just might need on their behalf? If that's not you, then maybe Nordstrom level isn't what you're ready for just yet. All I'm trying to say is think about what your customer is expecting, because delivering on your customer's expectations is the number one way to protect your 5-star rating and making sure that you get future business again from the same person. Okay, and number 3. For those of you who want to know the absolute best thing that you can do to get started and make sure that when you are building your business, that you eliminate a ton of mistakes and start hitting your target market properly, one of the best things that you can do is stay at another short-term rental. That's right. One of the best things to do is before you start serving someone else is let someone else serve you. I know maybe you feel like I've stayed at a hotel before, I've stayed at a bed and breakfast, I've stayed at all of these other places. I'm telling you, something is completely different when you actually go and experience it for yourself. Now, understand this. When your new guest is coming, the experience starts immediately from the interface, from the platform that you've chosen to be a part of, or your website, however they have found you. That's where the experience begins. So you might want to consider doing this on multiple platforms, meaning literally booking a reservation on each and every platform that you intend to be a part of so that you can understand what your guest is experiencing. This will give you a leg up over those that are also on that same platform. Now, for some of you, maybe you've never done this before and you're just looking at it as a business like me, because that was the first thought. When this came into my life, what I was looking at was like, hey, this seems to be a neat way to use real estate and gives me an opportunity to possibly build something that, well, my kids can participate in, something that would be closer to home, something that seemed to be more tangible, easier to execute, and just probably more fun. And that's really what I was after. So maybe you're in that category. So with that being said, what I've learned is that instead of going wide, go deep. Pick an easy platform to get started with, and most importantly, take that platform to as deep a level as you possibly can. Now, having served thousands of reservations and thousands upon thousands of people, in my opinion, one of the easiest platforms for everyone to get started on right now is, of course, Airbnb. Now, maybe you've never stayed at a unit that was advertised on that particular platform, and I completely understand it, but either going through it on the computer versus going through it also on your phone in the mobile experience, those are two completely different experiences, and it's definitely something you should look at. But I honestly want you to go and find a place to stay in your local area, even if it's just for one night, and observe things like, what did the photos look like? What was the title that got your attention? What were the words or photos in the description that actually mattered to you? And most importantly, what was that reservation experience like? How did the directions get to you? How did you pick up the keys? All of those things. What was your impression the moment you walked through the door? All of those things are things that you want to detail and that you definitely want to make sure that you know. It's really, really difficult to start any business, let alone this business, without having experienced it as a customer first. This is exactly why I'm suggesting that. Now, for some of you, maybe you don't have an account on the Airbnb platform already, and that's completely fine. It's really hard to start a business that you've never actually experienced the product of. And in fact, I think you'll be a better, bigger, badder business owner if you do it this way. Now that you've heard from me, I'm eager to hear from you. Until next time.
All right, everyone. I'm Jay Massey, and I want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Cashflow Diary podcast. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, head over to cashflowdiary.com to sign up for our email list. Check out all of the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you again. Until next time.